Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here on the Whimsy Stamps channel. Today I'm sharing two clean and simple Father's Day cards featuring the new Cutie alphabet dies. Plus, I have a super easy DIY project that will have you lining these dies up in no time. Now, I want to get started by first sharing my DIY tip for lining the dies up. You will need a couple of things: a magnetic sheet, some type of printable label paper. I'm using Avery's repositionable label here, and my magnetic sheet is an 8x10. Now you could most certainly use a 5x7 if that's what you have. I decided to use this repositionable label so when this one starts looking worn, I can easily remove it and replace it with a fresh label. Now I simply Googled free printable graph paper and printed it onto my label, and then I partially removed the release paper from the back of the label and started adhering it to my magnetic sheet. I took my time with this step, making sure I was keeping everything nice and straight. Now, once I have the label down, I trimmed any excess from around the edges, and my magnetic sheet has adhesive on the backside, so I covered it with a piece of heavyweight cardstock. Now, I'll be using this for years. It doesn't take up much space. I can store it in the drawer or even on my pegboard up on the wall. Now I can go ahead and start lining up dies easily, knowing they'll stay in place because that magnetic sheet. And once I have the dies lined up, I'll use repositionable tape to hold them in place to run them through my die cutting machine. Super simple. Now, in the process of creating the magnetic graph paper, I started thinking, what if I want to do my dies on a curve? Easy. If you have a metal protractor, you should be able to use it with that first magnetic graph, but I don't. So I simply Googled free printable protractor to print on my repositionable paper. I took the same steps to add it to another 8x10 magnetic sheet. Now, if I want to line the letters up on an arc or a curve, I have this ready to go. Easy peasy. So quickly, I want to point out two more things about this. One, you don't have to use this just for your dies. You can use your cutout letters and line them up using the graph or that protractor. Also, if you use an 8x10 magnetic sheet, you have lots of room to lay the dies around on it, and it makes it so easy to keep up with them while you're working. So now that I've shared my DIY tip with you, let's move on to creating a couple of very clean and simple Father's Day cards using it. Now I'm lining up the letters to spell out the word happy, but because I only have one P, I'm using the R as a placeholder. Now once I have everything in place, I remove the R and add a piece of low-tack tape over the dies so I can run these through the die cutting machine with black cardstock twice since I'm making two cards. Now, after I run the letters through the machine twice, I'll run each piece of cardstock back through the machine, moving that P over to finish off the word happy. I'll hang on to the cutout letters to use another day since I'm not using them today. And I need to remove any adhesive left behind from the low-tack tape. And this eraser works great for removing unwanted adhesive just by gently rubbing it in one direction. Be sure you're using a very light pressure with it. You definitely don't want to rub back and forth with this. So a light pressure pulling in one direction will easily remove that leftover adhesive. So let's go ahead now and start working on the cards. Now I'm using the Woodland Ducks and the Forest Stream red rubber stamps by Whimsy to create my Father's Day cards. I'm stamping the ducks directly onto my slimline card base, measuring 3.5 by 8.5 inches using black ink. I repeat that process on another slimline card base using the Forest Stream image, and mounting foam to the back of the black cardstock, I'm going to place that on my card base. Now, I wanted a small bit of my image peeking through the letter H on this card, and you can certainly decide the placement that best suits your needs, but I just wanted to play around and have just a tiny bit of that image peeking through. So go ahead, I'm going to adhere this to my card, and I have a quick tip that I want to share with you. Sometimes when we do our die cutting, we end up losing those tiny little center pieces. If that happens, take the letter, inlay it back into its original spot there in that negative piece. I used a little bit of repositionable tape on the back of mine to hold it in place. And I just take my Copic marker, color that center in. I'm going to go ahead and remove this P, and you will not be able to tell the difference that I colored that in instead of using cardstock. Now, it's great for saving on your cardstock unless you don't have a color that matches. So to finish it off, I simply stamped the Father's Day sentiment directly below that happy word from the Happy Sayings sentiment set. Now, here's a quick look at both of the cards, and I do have a bonus card that I want to share with you here. So this Cutie alphabet die set is so amazing. I stamped this background using the FaDoodle Heart stamp set. I die cut a rainbow from the Array of Rainbows die set and then cut that word love out of the rainbow. Stamped the word always directly beneath it. Added a piece of scrap cardstock colored black with a marker behind that word and then popped it up with mounting foam. Another quick and simple card using this amazing die set. Now let me know what you think of the cards in the comments. For more information on the products seen in this video, click the links directly below. We appreciate you so much for taking the time to join us. Until next time, take care.